public comment on items that are not on the redevelopment agency agenda? Anyone?
Or the city
Or
council
the city
agenda?
council agenda? Yeah, we might as well do them at the same time.
Brian Donahue, 4333 Holden Street. Here is the contents of a letter I intend on giving to my neighbors, and it's addressing the city council, specifically Councilmember Cassis. Recently, Councilmember Dick Cassis spoke of the last Emeryville election as the most fraught with outside interest in the history of modern Emeryville. Cassis got this right, but not in the way in which he meant. He incorrectly referred to the influence of organized labor in our town. The real influence of consequence, as we all know, is not from labor, it's from developers. More specifically, from large corporate developers with interest in future projects in our town. This last election saw the rise of political action committee politics in Emeryville, with the emergence of MPAC, an influential big corporate developer-funded lobbying committee, whose function is to smooth the way for money contributors' development in our town. MPAC funded the re-election campaign of the three incumbents, Nora Davis, Ken Bukowski, and Ruth Atkin. In the wake of their recent victory, we have seen how the lobbying power of MPAC is affecting how public policy is created, to the detriment of the public, in my opinion. Right out of the blocks, post-election example of this is the misnamed Transit Center with its Horton Street mega tower, more than twice the height allowed by our zoning ordinance. The developer here is the same that it has a well-documented record of constructing substandard buildings in our town. Now, after the election, this developer has decided to sweeten his side of the deal and increase his profits with a multi-million-dollar city-funded subsidy. This, unfortunately, was not enough to bat an eye for the three incumbents, plus Cassis, who have given the go-ahead to trash our zoning ordinance and grant millions of dollars in this government giveaway. Next will come the same out-of-town developer demanding the council majority cast aside our zoning ordinance again for his looming future projects adjacent to the north. So the question is, why the hell do we even have a general plan and a zoning ordinance at all? They're obviously too weak to stand up to the lobbying power against them by MPAC. All this does not bode well for democracy in Emeryville, or us, the residents. A horde of corporate development firms salivating at the prospects of a wide-open Emeryville, mixed with a council majority desperate to get reelected and predisposed to helping developers, is a recipe for disaster for Emeryville residents, the clear losers in this equation. Cassis may engage in his foaming-at-the-mouth xenophobic rants against the interests of the working poor. That's, after all, what he does. But one only needs to see the outcome of the last election to see where the real power in Emeryville lies. Councilmember Cassis will not admit to any of this because he himself is also the beneficiary of these outside corporate interests. During his last re-election campaign, I checked with the city clerk, and I found virtually all his major campaign donors were from huge out-of-town corporate development firms with designs on developing in Emeryville. I say it's no coincidence Councilmember Cassis has so richly rewarded these big corporate interests in the intervening 2 years since his last re-election. As for me, I'm just a powerless resident, like those of you watching on television, only with the advantage of 27 years in this town. But if anyone should doubt what I say here, I invite you to see for yourself. Watch the council meetings. Watch and see if these developers are successful in getting our general plan and zoning ordinance cast aside pell-mell by these right-wing council members. Just watch, then ask yourself, what, for instance, if I wanted to do an addition to my own home? Would I get the same treatment as these big-time developers? I have no doubt that these four council members will continue to attack me and my pro-resident advocacy. That's, after all, what they do with dissenters here in Emeryville. But to the citizens of Emeryville, I ask you to just watch how they vote on the big development projects that are brought before them. Just watch and then see for yourself. And you can decide for yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other public